Do you ever just get those days where it's like 10 o'clock at night and you want to drink a coffee and you can't think of a reason to do it? This. Hello and welcome to the video. Having recently returned from Vancouver and being locked up in my room for 2 weeks, I realised that this is really the sort of thing that can do a number on you if you don't have access to your day-to-day routine. And for me, that was getting up at around 6 a.m. You know, having breakfast, having a shower, and then going into work where I did the most enjoyable part of my day, which was calibrating espresso. For some, doing calibrations in the morning can feel like you're in a thankless relationship with someone that just enjoys your suffering. For others, it's a great time to showcase your barista strength and even demonstrate to your new hires and even your first early morning regulars the kind of Wizard of Oz style magic that goes on behind the curtain. And the truth is, both of these outlooks are correct. Sometimes your grinder will flail its arms around and beat you into a corner for having the audacity to slightly adjust the grind time a little bit or try to adjust the consistency a little bit, and it'll give you something that looks more like gravel than espresso. However, for myself, thankfully these moments were quite uncommon, and my regulars were always happy to wait while I fixed it. Nevertheless, this was all part and parcel of doing my favourite thing in work every day, tasting the coffee. And when I got home, my parents told me, indeed, there is coffee in your room when you get there. And so, when I got home, I unpacked my things, I took out my AeroPress, I took out my pour over filter, and I quickly located which is probably Ireland's finest knockoff own brand instant coffee. But hey, it's not like instant is terrible or anything. I mean, once you get your setup done, AeroPress, ready to press your instant, you can really appreciate the tasting notes of astonishment and regret in equal measure. So, once the quarantine was over and armed with €40 that I'd gotten out of an ATM with an exchange rate that was more akin to that time that I got mugged than anything I would probably called an exchange rate, I decided to venture to one of the only places around me that's still open and selling whole bean coffee. We went to Lidl, and once inside we found something rather interesting. Now, to those of you who are just beginning to dip your toes into the idea of specialty coffee, one of the things you'll begin to notice really quick is that pre-ground coffee usually costs a little bit less than whole bean, and sometimes by a little bit less, sometimes it can be a lot. And it depends. Sometimes you're just going to get different prices based off of where you're going to buy it from. I mean, if you're in Vancouver, for instance, and you want to buy yourself a bag of coffee, you can pay anything from about $14 to $20, which could be about 10 to €15 and vice versa, wherever you go in the world. And it can depend on where you're buying it, if you're going to a coffee shop, if you're buying it in a supermarket, and how good is the coffee shop, how good is the supermarket coffee. So when I saw this, a bag of coffee, whole bean, in Lidl for €2, it's safe to say my curiosity was piqued. Because if there's one thing that I really enjoy, it's coffee or just things in general of questionable quality. Because here's the unwelcome truth. If you want to have a memorable experience, whether it be drinking coffee, going to the movies, having dinner, bottle of wine, whatever it is, you can't just consume the very good, because that's where your standard is now. You don't have anything to compare it to. If you really want to enjoy things, you gotta go into the pits. You gotta drink the bad. You gotta find the bad. And this right here, €2, this is a contender.
Alright, so before I actually drink this, I'm just going to go over a little bit more information about the coffee that Lidl had to offer whole bean at €2 in price. You had the Ethiopian Limu washed, you had the Zambia AAA, and you had the Colombia Supremo. The interesting thing about all three of these is Supremo, for the Colombian, is not actually a gauge of quality of bean. It's actually a size grade, and the same goes for Zambia. AAA is not a quality gauge, it's a sizing grade. And AAA is a consistency size grade, so all of those coffee beans are going to be the exact same size or thereabouts. With the Colombia, Supremo just means big as all hell, so you're just going to have really big beans. And the problem with that is, it's not a uniform size grade, so you're going to have some really big coffee beans and some really small coffee beans. And then finally with Ethiopian, it's just Limu washed, which means we have two sizing grades and one that just says it's washed, which is a lot of information. Generally, if I'm buying coffee, unless I know the roaster, I am not going to buy Supremo coffee. Because it's different size beans, it's going to be really easy to give it an uneven roast, so we just tend to avoid. I was looking at the Zambia AAA and be like, that'd be nice, you know, but at a strength of 3 out of 5, usually when you see that on store-bought, like supermarket coffee, it's probably going to be dark, like burnt as all hell. So avoid like the plague, which left us in the middle with the Ethiopian Limu.
So, what did we get? Bearing in mind that my AeroPress routine is not gonna win any awards anytime soon. Not that offensive on the nose. Slight cardboardy tones, but then again, anything is a change from the questionable smell of poor labour practices. Generic floral, a little bit of tartness, barely noticeable cherry in there somewhere, maybe? But yeah, light body, smooth, slight acidity, not too much bitterness, almost no bitterness. On the back of the throat, back of the tongue, the bitterness kind of picks up a little bit. Overall, I'm a bit surprised. Not surprised in terms of, oh my god, it's bad, but oh my god, it's very painfully mediocre average. We're talking, you go to a conference room and there's a percolator there. Generic drip coffee. No brand, no nothing. That's what we're dealing with here. We paid €2 for this bag. And for a bag of coffee that's the worst thing I've ever had, that's good. That's a good thing. I don't see why that's not a good thing. However, this is not me giving you a ringing endorsement to go to Lidl and to buy every single bag of this that they have. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you're the type of person that you just got yourself a grinder and you got yourself a French press, you want to get better at doing the French press thing, but you don't want to go out to coffee shop and pay €20 for a bag of coffee that you're going to ruin, this is your man. If you're going camping and you want to keep a bag of beans in your rucksack or in the glove compartment of the car, wherever you keep your coffee when you're camping, I don't know. This is not a bad bag. This is the sort of thing you want to take with you. €2.50, you'll not hate it, but you'll not love it at the same time. And if you want to go out and you want to buy some more coffee, you want to go different coffee shops, whatever, you can still do that. But if you're going into the woods and you don't have access to coffee, but at the same time you can't be asked spending a bunch of money on coffee that you're going to bring that you know will take up too much room and you're probably not going to drink it, and this is good. This is good for you. Good for you if you want to get better at doing the coffee thing at home, but you don't want to waste your beans. Hey, I just bought a brand new espresso machine and I want to know how to calibrate my machine properly. This is a medium roast and I bought a medium roast. I want to know how the medium roast works. Use this stuff. Use this stuff. Don't waste your good stuff. Yeah, this is an average coffee. I don't like it as a day-to-day drinker. I wouldn't recommend it. For what it is, it's surprisingly not terrible. Or maybe it's just the fact that I'm drinking at like 11 o'clock and I'm slowly going insane. Anyway, that's enough from me. Thanks for stopping by today, guys. And I'll be sure to hit you guys up with more stuff like this, me finding the good and finding the bad later on. Have a good